Thank you for coming. My name is Tina Carrington, a senior at Arkansas Tech University, and this is my capstone. I want to first thank the Leadhill School District for allowing me to do my research at their school on their ISS program. I want to give a special thanks to Ms. Wanda Van Dyke, my stakeholder, who has been there for every step of the way. It's been really nice having you to work with. So, in-school suspension with a purpose. What is in-school suspension? Well, it's a program at most public school districts. It's a form of discipline. Suspension's been around for a long time, but back in the old days when we heard suspension, children were gone. They weren't seen at school. Now there's a room that children can go to at school, and it's isolated from all the other students, and they can be in attendance, and they can also do their work. So it's a good form of discipline, and I do believe in it, and I think that it should always be a form of discipline used at schools. It should be an option for kids. According to a review of 85 parental involvement studies, Henderson and Bella of Education.com found that when parents are involved, there are many positive changes. The problem with that is when we were sending kids home out of school suspension, it didn't ensure that there was parental involvement. That would have been nice, but that wasn't always the case. So having children at school instead of out of school makes sure that someone's involved. So the purpose for this project, we needed to take a closer look at the program that we have here at Leadhill School to see how effective it is. I do believe, like I said in the beginning, I believe that it's a great program, but how effective is the program? According to the AASA Journal of Scholarship and Practice, it is apparent that punishment alone does not produce a lasting behavior change. Therefore, that being said, the ISS program needs to be more constructive rather than punitive. It doesn't just need to be a punishment, it needs to be something that children get something out of after they leave. We need to get parents involved, we need to get teachers involved, and we need to ensure that this program has a lasting effect for that student after they leave. Teachers need to be involved. Next to parents, teachers are the most important aspect of a child's education. So the problem that I identified, what measure could be taken to ensure the Leadhill ISS program be more effective? How can the classroom teacher, parents, principal help this program be one that benefits the students and promotes positive behavioral growth? Could an intake process involving the student, parent, and teacher keep students from repeating these behaviors? Because the problem we run into with ISS is you see the same students in this room over and over again. It's a revolving door. So that's the problem that I'd like to address, that I have worked on and researched. The research methods, there was a student survey done on students between grades 4 through 12, and they were all asked the same questions about their ISS program. There was a survey done on ISS supervisors from the surrounding schools in the North Arkansas area, and there was an interview done with Wanda Van Dyke, who is also my stakeholder. She is the high school principal here at Leadhill. And there was extensive research done on the web and news and journal articles. The interview, this is where I got in-depth information from the principal here at this school, which is where I really wanted to focus because this is the school that I'm doing the needs assessment on. I asked her several questions and I got some really good feedback. Basically, Ms. Van Dyke does not feel like our ISS program is effective. There's a disconnection between teachers and students while they're in ISS, which is detrimental because without teachers and students connecting every day, students are wondrously, they're aiming wondrously. They don't have any direction. They need the teacher to inform them of what they need to do while they're in that classroom, If they have questions, they need to ask the teacher those questions. So there's a big problem. Ms. Van Dyke was very excited to know that I was interested in doing this assessment on this program, because she said there was a huge need for improvement in this classroom. The analysis and findings, as I said from my interview, I got a lot of insight as to where to go with this. The surveys went very well. Everything was very conclusive. There wasn't a whole lot of data to really get a good look at. It was a straight line. These schools in this area, they all need to take a closer look at these ISS programs and have them working more effectively. The number one thing I found is that not only here are the students and teachers disconnected, at other schools in this area, it's the same way. Teachers and students are not connecting. The students are isolated, and that is part of the punishment is being isolated, but they don't need to be isolated from their teachers and communicating with their teachers. So that was a problem everywhere. As the graph showed, there's a straight line. The people who were asked, do you have an intake process? No, they don't. There's the yes, there's the no. That's the problem. Communication is the key to having an effective ISS program. Not only do we need to get the teachers communication, we need to get the parents communication as well. So the action plan. The intake process. I've handed you several documents to look at. In the intake process, we are going to involve not only the student, they will have a questionnaire to fill out. Some of the questions are, how many days have you been assigned to ISS? Do you know that sometimes students are assigned 20 days of ISS? It's a long time to be isolated from your classmates, but an even longer time to be isolated from your teachers. So what happened? Why are you in ISS? How do you feel about your consequence? Did this turn out the way you thought it would? Please explain. What will you miss about being in class with your friends? While a student's filling this document out, they're going to have to think about what they did to get into that situation. And hopefully, working closely with an ISS supervisor, they will come up with a plan for their future behavior and how to keep that from happening again. One of the most important documents, and it's about as simple as it can be, is the teacher sign-in. The teacher sign-in is going to hold them accountable. They're going to have to come in and check in with their student every day. It's not going to be easy for them to find the time to do at times, but it's very important. Another part of the intake process is going to be filled out by the principal, the teacher, and at the end of this process, there will be a requested meeting with the child's parent or guardian. Now we know that's not always going to be possible, but we strongly urge parents to come and sit down and look over all this paperwork before a student is released from ISS. We don't want to release a student from ISS unprepared to not make the same mistake. We want to give them the best chance that they could possibly have. So if you'll notice on your document called In-School Suspension Intake Form, the principal section is going to briefly explain why this student has been ISS, how many days the student will be serving, and a very important question is on this form. Has the guardian, the parent or guardian, been notified? You'd be surprised how many times students' parents have no idea they're even in that room. They don't know. So there's another section for the teacher, and this is to briefly describe the student's strengths. I also want the teacher to describe the student's weaknesses. This is going to be shared with the student, so the student will have firsthand access to this information. And I think that's going to be very important to building the relationship with the students and the teacher. The cost to do this, time. It might take you a ream of paper that costs about $5.57 to make these forms. But the biggest cost to us involved in this process is time. It's going to take time for the teachers. They're going to have to take a minute or two out of their prep hour to come by and check on the children to ensure that they've got their assignments and that they're on the right track. That is the biggest cost in this process, which is the good news. But I do feel that if everyone works together, the student can leave ISS ready to succeed when they go back to class. Can you imagine going back to class after serving ISS for 20 days and not knowing if you're caught up with the rest of the class? You're setting yourself up for failure. That's not going to work. You're going to be overwhelmed. Students who have a problem with coping aren't going to know how to handle that. But that student that served 20 days with this program and they were seeing their teacher every day and they knew they were on the right track, they'll return to class with a great attitude, knowing that they're going to step right back into that classroom and be right where all their peers are, which is a great plan. And I do think that will continue. If that is continued, I do feel like the students will see, we'll see fewer and fewer repeat offenders. They're going to get it. So, in closing, I'd like to say student accountability plus parent involvement plus teacher influence equals success. And who doesn't like to succeed? Let's help our students in succeeding and staying out of trouble. Thank you.